God's creation is always astounding and astonishing. I hope that I never lose the awe I feel when I look at the multitude of living things that He created. And today I had a brief encounter with one that many people would probably think is a pest, and that's ugly. It is a pest, but it has a purpose too. I wouldn't say it's ugly.
Pretty cool.
And what am I talking about? A slug. Awesome. Yes, a slimy slug. My first encounter with a slug was a beautiful one I saw years ago in Florida when I was on the run with my kids from the law. That's a video I'll tell you about sometime. I'll tell you about it in the video sometime. But at any rate, it was purple, and it was about 4 inches long, and it was absolutely beautiful. Today, I was taking Charlie, my best buddy, my cat, my black Burmese cat, for a walk around the building, or the apartment complex that we live in, and I saw a bright orange thing on the bricks under my bedroom window. In retrospect, I wonder if these can camouflage themselves, because it was almost the same color as the brick that it was on. But at any rate, it was a slug, and stretched out, it would probably be 3.5 inches long, and it was a very lovely color. It was a very pretty creature. It showed God's astounding creative abilities, the diversity which He made. So I decided to take some pictures, short video, and Google slugs to see what I could find. And the slug is a common name for an apparently shellless terrestrial gastropod mollusk. Now, if that's not a mouthful, I don't know what is. The word slug is also often used as part of the common name of any gastropod mollusk that has no shell, has a very reduced shell, or has only a small internal shell. This is in contrast to the common name snail, which applies to gastropods that have coiled shells large enough that the animal can retract its soft body parts fully into it, because the slug is very soft. When you touch him, he's almost squishy feeling. But slugs live on land and water. They live in salt water. And one genus, which is called the Ecochilidium, lives in fresh water. The unadorned word slug, however, is applied primarily to land slugs, whereas slugs from the sea or from fresh water are usually referred to as sea slugs, or, of course, and obviously, freshwater slugs. Land gastropods with a shell that is not quite vesicle enough, but is too small to retract into, like many in the family Urocyclidea, are known as semislugs. Various taxonomic families of slugs form part of several quite different evolutionary lineages, which also includes the snails. There's that word that I hate with a passion, evolutionary, because as you look at God's creation, from the biggest down to the very smallest, down to the DNA, as you look into all these things, it boggles the mind. It is so complex. How anybody can believe that all the diversity of life we see today evolved out of some primordial life that came together in a soup of chemicals in some ancient sea billions of years ago. So I'm sorry, it just didn't happen that way. And you can deceive yourself and believe all you want to that it did, but it didn't. God planned everything, and God created everything. I think sometimes people are a little bit put off by the way the creation account is in Genesis, where God merely spoke and things were, and that's true. But I have to believe that there was a lot of planning that God did in the process of creating all of these things. But at any rate, I will continue now. Thus, for example, the various families of land slugs are not closely related, despite a superficial similarity in the overall body form. The shellless condition has arisen many times independently during the, here we go again, evolutionary past, and thus the category slug is emphatically a polyphyletic one. Slugs, like all other gastropods, undergo torsion, that is, a 180-degree twisting of the internal organs during development. Initially, slug anatomy clearly shows the effects of this rotation, but externally, the bodies of land slugs appear more or less symmetrical, except for the positioning of the pseudostome, which is on one side of the animal, normally the right-hand side. The soft, slimy bodies of slugs are prone to desiccation, so land-living slugs are confined to moist environments and must retreat to damp hiding places when the weather is dry. The subsequent information in this presentation applies only to land slugs. Like other pulmonate land gastropods, the majority of land slugs have two pairs of feelers or tentacles on their head. And as you look at the pictures of this one that I saw today, you can see that the slug probably was startled, but the two feelers are beginning to extend back out. The upper pair is light-sensing and has eye spots at the ends, while the lower pair provides the sense of smell. Both pairs are retractable and can be regrown if they happen to be lost. On top of the slug, behind the head, is the saddle-shaped mantle, and under this are the genital opening and anus. On one side, almost always the right-hand side of the mantle, is a respiratory opening, which is easy to see when open, but difficult to see when closed. This opening is known as the pneumostome. Within the tissue of the mantle, in some species, is a very small, rather flat shell, or in some other cases, a collection of calcareous granules. Like most gastropods, a slug moves by rhythmic waves of muscular contraction on the underside of its foot, which is the bottom side. It simultaneously secretes a layer of mucus that it travels on, which helps to prevent damage to the foot tissue. Around the edge of the foot is some taxa, which is a structure called the foot fringe. Most slugs retain a remnant of their shell, which is usually internalized. This organ generally serves as storage for calcium salts, often in conjunction with the digestive glands, and an internal shell is present in the limacide and paramycleide, adult philomycidiac, and others which lack shells. My goodness, the names are hard to pronounce. But continuing on, slugs' bodies are made up mostly of water, and without a full-size shell, their soft tissues are prone to desiccation. They must generate protective mucus to survive. Many species are most active just after rain because of the moist ground, and it had just rained an hour or so before when I saw the one today, which I photographed with Charlie. In drier conditions, they hide in damp places, such as under tree bark of fallen logs, rocks, and man-made structures, such as planters, to help retain body moisture. Slugs produce two types of mucus. One is thin and watery, and the other is thick and sticky. Both kinds are hygroscopic. The thin mucus spreads from the foot's center to its edges, whereas the thick mucus spreads from front to back. Slugs also produce thick mucus that coats the whole body of the animal. When I touched this slug today, it felt soft and gooey, but it felt sticky too. And I took, since it was on the brick in a place that was hard for me to photograph, I took a little stick to move him off the brick, and I was amazed at how powerful its suction or grip was onto the surface that it was gliding across with its path of mucus left trailing behind. Anyways, that's the information that I have on the ground slug, which is just another small and yet amazing and astounding creature in God's awesome creation. Thanks for taking a listen, and God bless.